the lean, the family. Credit cards and the scammers.
Oh, perfect timing, Yagami-san. And here I was about to go without you. Are you ready to visit Mamiya-san?
On va aller rendre visite à la victime d'Ehara. J'attends pas tout voir. Donc va falloir prendre le taxi.
Well, the best we can hope for is that she'll hear us out.
Bon, on y va. Bon, avant on va prendre une petite photo. Un petit sourire. Ben voilà. Allez, on va prendre le taxi. C'est bien le taxi qu'il faut prendre, non? Ouais, c'est bien ça. Allez, on y go. Alors, appartement de Mamiya, ça doit être ici, hein. Allons-y. Ça coûte cher le taxi, hein.
Remember, we're speaking to a victim here, Yagami-san. One whose assailant we defended in court. If we had tried to make an appointment, she probably...
Not sure showing up unannounced is much better. Let's just...
Yes, there's no way around it. It's a risk we had to take.
Well, here goes nothing.
Yes?
I'm Shirasaki from the Genda Law Office. The attorney for Mr. Akihiro Ehara. You may remember me from the hearings.
Why are you here? Don't you know it's rude to show up at someone's door uninvited?
I understand, but we have a pressing matter that If we could do this another way, we would. I apologize for any inconvenience.
I'm sorry, but the trial's over and done with. You know I can legally turn you away.
You're right, but I'm only asking a moment of your time. Please, would you mind?
Même Sori n'arrive pas à la convaincre de nous parler. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire?
I don't have time for this. I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Wait, before you do that. Sorry to butt in. I'm Yagami, a detective helping Saori here out.
And?
On peut te laisser tomber, persuader d'ouvrir cette porte. J'ai donné l'impression que c'était rapide et facile. Dit une chose gentille. Bon, elle veut pas ouvrir la porte. Donc on va...
I know in your eyes we're just scumbag lawyers defending perverts in court. It was just a paycheck to them, you're thinking. And yes, why should you care?
Wow. It's like you read my mind. If you're so perceptive, shouldn't you know it's time to leave?
Wait, that's not what I meant at all. Look, that was just an opener.
Que faire? Elle refuse de nous parler.
Mamiya-san. Scratch that. Yui. You have a charming voice, you know that?
I'm sorry, what?
See? You did it again. The way you talk, it's like satin and velvet. Any chance I could hear you say a few other things?
Do you know how tempted I am to slam the door in your face right now?
Oh, don't do that. Sorry. That was a terrible strategy. Please, miss.
On ne peut pas laisser tomber. Persuadé d'ouvrir cette porte.
Are you aware of the trending video that's leading people to believe Hara committed murder? Thing is, the victim was confirmed to be alive in Yokohama. And since Ahara was on the train with you, they're ruling him out as a murder suspect.
So, what is it you're getting at?
I'm just trying to ensure you're in the clear from any of that unfortunate business. If we could do this now, we'd never bother you again. All we need is 10 minutes of—
How absurd.
We're only trying to help. But if late, we could always come back another time. With our supervisor, of course. That visit would probably be more formal. There'd be paperwork, audio tapes, you know the drill. You'll want to clear your schedule.
I really don't have time for any of that.
No, I understand, and it's entirely our fault. We thought we'd do this casually, but we really should have been more by the book. But it is a murder case, so we do have to make sure our paperwork is in order. Now, would you prefer to schedule a date to accommodate a more formal interview?
You said 10 minutes if we do it now, right?
We'll make it as painless as possible.
All right. Hold on.
We really do appreciate it.
Well, I'm impressed. I'm also not sure I should trust a word you say ever again.
Really?
I'm joking. I do appreciate the help. Now let's not screw this up. This is likely the only conversation.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. Again, we apologize for the intrusion.
Let's just get this over with already.
Okay, bye-bye.
We'll make this quick.
Il nous faudrait une bonne accroche pour entamer la conversation. Voyons quelque chose d'utile. Contacter le niveau de vie de Maya. Alors, observer un truc. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut observer? Une photo.
Hey.
Si ma mémoire est exacte, Maya avec son mari. Leur fils a l'air heureux sur cette photo. Trouver d'autres indices.
What the?
Ce dessin d'enfant, ça doit être sa maman. C'est mignon. Même encadré. Trouver un repère. Il y a sûrement un indice. Mais où? Observer la pièce. Cette pièce appartient à Maya, la victime de l'agression. Je devrais inspecter les lieux. Pour l'instant, de façon que Maya vive son quotidien. Donc là, il n'y a rien. C'est un dessin d'enfant. Je dois voir sa maman, c'est mignon pour l'encadrer. Là, y a rien. Je dois enquêter plus. Cette pièce est agréable avec la ouverture du salon. Là, on a regardé. Y a rien.
Hey,
Génial d'avoir une propre salle de jeu. Un fauteuil, y a rien. Est-ce qu'il y a des paniers, des trucs comme ça, des livres? Rien du tout. Ah, la télé. En couple marié, dans leur trentaine, semble confortement. Ses parents peut-être quoi? On ne soit revenu clairement aux supérieures moyennes. Une radio. Peut-être un pot de fleurs, mais non. Rien de spécial.
hey, suspicious. Hey,
Son fauteuil, y a rien.
suspicious.
Alors est-ce que là par là il y a quelque chose?
Suspicious. Hey,
Si seulement j'ai l'ordinateur, mais il faut pas rêver. Faire le tour. Le pont, on l'a regardé. Si seulement je peux jeter un coup d'œil à l'ordinateur, mais il faut pas rêver. Donc on peut pas accéder à l'ordinateur. Il y a un autre indice. Mais il faut la trouver. Est-ce que l'indice est sur elle? Je devrais arrêter de la fixer, ou elle risque de mal y prendre.
suspicious.
La chair est fraîche. C'est une pensée qu'elle a débarquée à travers le train. Là, il n'y a rien. On a regardé toutes les pièces. Petit carton, plateau. Là, on a regardé la gazinière.
What the?
Ah, la poêle. En attendant que personne pourtant à l'appartement super bien rangé. Je devrais prendre la graine. Ouais, mais ça ne dit pas l'indice. Les placards. Ah, y a rien. Ah, y a un autre indice. C'est obligé. à réfléchir. Cette pièce appartient à Maya, la victime de l'agression. Il devrait inspecter pour l'interroger. On a peut-être oublié un truc dans la pièce là. Là y a rien. Un vélo. Ah, il y a quelque chose là. Un vélo d'enfant. Il doit appartenir au garçon. Exact. Mia et son mari et son fils à cette photo. Là, il n'y a rien du tout. Un dessin, peut-être. Il n'y a rien du tout. J'essaie d'observer, mais il n'y a rien. Donc c'est pas cette pièce-là déjà. Faut trouver la pièce. Et là, il y a des papiers, des cintres. Elle a des livres. Mais il n'y a rien. Même pas un roman. Une lumière. Un ordinateur. Et on l'a fait. Un siège, mais bon, il n'y a rien du tout. Le petit enfant, on va aller voir. Il est peut-être suspect.
Suspicious.
Le fils a 6 ans de Maya, il est mignon. Il a commencé sa primaire cette année. Mais la visite apparemment pas encore rentrée. Donc c'est pas ça. Là on n'a rien. De l'enfant. Non, il n'y a rien du tout. La fleur, il n'y a rien. Non, rien du tout. C'est ça qui est bizarre. Là, il n'y a rien. Ah, la télé. Elle a été examinée déjà. Le tapis. Le jouet. Non, il n'y a rien. La table, il n'y a rien. Le tabouret d'enfant. La prise, il n'y a rien. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut observer dans l'appartement? Là, on a regardé déjà. On n'a rien trouvé. Le ventilo. Il n'y a rien du tout. Est-ce que c'est pas la table? Sous la nappe. Ah. Est-ce que c'est pas l'assiette? Non. La cafetière non plus. Ah, ça on l'a fait. Ça on l'a fait. Je sais pas c'est quoi. Mouchoir. Le cadre. Non plus. Ah. Je crois avoir trouvé un truc là, non? Non, y a rien. La petite lumière là, non plus. On n'a rien. Le bol non plus. La cocotte minute non plus. Est-ce que c'est plus bas? Là, c'est bizarre. Ah, son dos. Celui risque de mal y prendre. Ouais. Là, elle a rien. Là, on l'a fait. Donc, examiner. Employé du bureau est victime de l'agression du propriétaire de Hara. Donc Enora sont montés dans le même Katuro. Elle, là le trajet. Ok, j'ai trouvé.
So, talk. I've already told the police and the court everything they could want to know about that morning.
I'm sorry to put you through this again, but would you mind going over those details with us?
What else is left to discuss?
I understand how pressured you might.
I've gone over this so many times.
No, what you did was both brave. Your voice might give them courage to find their own.
Ironic. Hearing this from that
Well,
predator.
Perhaps.
Would you mind walking us through that day from the beginning?
It's nothing so mysterious.
Nothing else was out of the ordinary that day?
Correct.
Not to pry, but where is your husband today?
Still at work? He usually doesn't. On that note, I have to feed my son, so let's get this wrapped up soon.
We'll try our best to. Moving along. On that day, you and Ahara-san boarded the... Had you ever seen the man before then?
No. At least not that I can recall. How many times must I go over that? Your lawyer friend here already knows everything I have to say. What do you gain by getting me to repeat things?
That's the thing. Yagami-san here is a specialist. He can take whatever you repeat, analyze it, and draw up an entirely new conclusion.
Of course. That's exactly why I'm here.
Super, maintenant tout repose sur moi. C'est une constante dernièrement.
In the security footage, as you stepped onto the train, it looks like Ahara-san stepped right behind you. Were you aware of his presence at this point?
I was. It felt like someone kept pushing up against me with no sense of personal boundaries. I remember second-guessing myself at the time.
Then the train took off while you were stuck in that situation.
Yes. And then it kept getting worse from there. To the point where he went under my skirt. And the pig had the nerve to write it off as an accidental brush on a crowded train. But that kind of touch wasn't accidental. He even grabbed at me.
Truly awful. And I do sympathize. I've also had to turn in an abuser like that. Personally speaking, some men can't wait to debase themselves at the first opportunity.
Why would you say that and look at me?
I just stood there, frozen. I couldn't see who was touching me. I had no idea. I wanted to scream. But what if he just played it off?
Are you okay, Mommy?
I'm fine, sweetie. We're just having a bit of grown-up talk. Are you hungry?
Uh-huh.
Then go read your book and wait over there for Mommy. We're almost done.
Entretien touche à son terme. Mais la dernière question, c'est d'être bref. Pour l'instant, le témoignage d'Emilia concorde avec la vidéo.
You said the abuse lasted the entire 6 minutes between Ikebukuro and Shinjuku Station. Did you see the groper's face at any time during that span?
No. I was too terrified to look. And I thought, even if I did, he'd just pull away and escape. But just as the train was pulling into Shinjuku, I reached back and grabbed the hand on me. That's when I saw his face. Of course, he shook me off as the doors opened, but I'd already gotten a clear look at him. He must have known I could turn him in at that point. So he ran, and I chased after.
Right. That was captured by the station's security cameras.
Great job tailing him in such a crowded space. On that note, did you ever happen to lose sight of Ahara-san while running?
His cat was pretty easy to spot, and no one else was bolting off the platform like that, so I never
I'm
looked.
glad there were good Samaritans nearby.
For sure. And there were a lot of smartphones out.
I see. I think I've got the gist of it. But
What do you mean?
L'histoire de Maya concorde au témoignage du procès. Le détail qui ne colle pas par contre.
despite what we just went over, wouldn't you say this contradicts your account of the incident?
I'm not sure what you mean. Did I?
No, Yagami-san is correct.
Oh, shoot. If you'll allow me to rephrase. Despite what we just went over, wouldn't you say this contradicts your account of the incident?
I'm not sure what you mean. Did I?
No, Yagami-san.
Oh, shoot. If you'll allow me to rephrase.
Donc l'histoire de Mia avec le témoignage du procès, ça colle pas.
Despite what we just went over, wouldn't you say this contradicts your account of the incident?
I'm not sure what you mean.
No, Yagami.
Oh, if you'll allow me to rephrase.
Ça ne concorde pas.
Despite what we just went over, wouldn't you say this contradicts your account of the incident?
I'm not sure what you mean.
No.
Oh, if you'll allow me to rephrase.
Ça ne concorde pas.
Well, on the same day, at 6:30 a.m. in Yokohama, a student teacher named Hiro Mikoshiba was sent off to work by his mother. But he was soon abducted near his home, only to be found dead much later in Ijincho.
Is that
According to the video, Ahara-san here is the murderer.
what?
He killed Mikoshiba in cold blood to get vengeance for his bullied son. His kid was about to graduate high school, but instead, he took his own life. So Ahara took it upon himself to punish his son's tormentor.
That's all.
But now we come back to the issue here. If this footage is authentic, then Ahara-san couldn't have been your assailant. The victim's estimated time of death and Ahara-san's time of arrival in Tokyo simply don't allow for it. It's just not possible for someone to make that commute. But there's the flip side. If Ahara-san was in fact your assailant, It would mean this murder footage is a fabrication,
I don't know what you expect me to say after all this.
right? Now you know how we're feeling. That's why we came to see if you had any leads for us.
So that's what this is about.
After hearing your story, I have no doubt you endured a lot that day. Which would obviously mean that murder video was faked.
Then, who shared that video? And why?
Whether it's CG on top of real murder footage, or just a so why go through all this effort to fake a murder? Who would... But I have to say, I feel much closer to piecing this puzzle together with your help today. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, and rest assured, this will be the last time you see us. And for dredging up unpleasant memories.
It's fine. So long as this is really the end of it all.
Alors là, on comprend plus rien de l'enquête.
I'd like to report Mamiya-san's account to the rest of the team. Can I count on you to be there?
Sure. Let me give Kaito-san a heads up.
All right, then I'll see you there.
Yo, me.
Hey, I just got back to Kamurocho. Everything good? Any news?
All good here, man. What's with you? You worried Arcade got to me or something?
I mean, they did run their mouths about stabbing us in the back. But if you're good, I'm good. Anyway, I'm heading to Genda so Sari-san and I can go over what we learned from Mamiya.
You're the boss. As for me...
You do that.
Donc là, il va aller voir Sori. Il n'y a toujours pas l'enquête. Il croit savoir qui a assassiné, mais fausse piste. Bon. Il va falloir monter au bâtiment.
Are we ready, Yagami-san? Let's start with our visit to Mamiya-san, if that sounds reasonable to you.
Yeah, let's start there.
So, the victim's story...
That's correct. There wasn't anything new to pick up.
Unfortunately.
In which case, should we look into the murder video instead? Like, figure out how they made it?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Whether that tape's fake or real, someone had to put it online, right? Do we have any theories on...
Well, the footage showed enough of the surroundings to make the crime scene clear. As somebody who's been there, I can confirm...
A été publié la vidéo du meurtre commis à Ehara sur internet. Est-ce qu'il est complice?
The murderer's accomplices have to be the ones who posted it for him.
Yeah, I can't see it any other way.
I also agree with Yagami-san.
But in that case, what would their motive be?
Maybe... Huh? We know Ehara got himself convicted for groping, so he'd have an alibi for Mikoshiba's killing. But then, his conspirators turned it around by uploading the murder video online. Almost as if to say, look how he got away with it.
I see. Yeah, that does make it sound like he's taunting.
That's well and good, but I'd like to shift gears. Let's talk about the actual fabrication of the video.
Well, for example, the true culprit would be taped murdering Mikoshiba. Then Ehara's face would be copied and blended onto the killers. That's how they'd approach it in a Hollywood.
But then, wouldn't you be able to see traces of it being fake?
Tsukumo-san reported that he's found nothing of the sort in his analysis.
We've been down this road before. If we take the stance that the footage is fabricated, we have absolutely nothing to work with.
Then let's tackle this from the stance that the video's actually real. If that's the case, there has to be a flaw in the groping issue. I think we've collected enough evidence to...
So, what does this do for us?
Once Ihara entered the Ikebukuro gates at 7:43 a.m. and stepped onto... He was continuously monitored on camera. But if he really killed Mikoshiba at 7:30 like we saw, that would mean the person in the footage isn't Ihara, but an impersonator.
So that's not really him?
Yeah. He's got the sunglasses and hat to help sell the disguise.
Wait, if that's the case, after murdering Mikoshiba, wouldn't Ihara have to swap places with the stand-in sometime before? But we didn't see any opportunity for it. Multiple cameras saw Ihara move right up to, and the onboard camera recorded them for the entire... Not only was the act caught on tape, but his failed escape from the scene was recorded as well. Ultimately, Ihara was pinned down before leaving Mamiya-san's sight, so she had an eye on him the whole time.
Right.
But wait, that's not entire...
Ihara est toujours présent sur les caméras de Ikebukuro. Mais j'ai la preuve que c'est... Alors là, faut trouver la preuve.
What are your thoughts on this video?
I mean, other than it being extremely unsettling, I'm honestly a bit confused as to why you're bringing it up now.
Yeah, it is confusing, isn't it? If that's your first reaction, let me try another angle.
Ihara n'est toujours pas présent sur la caméra. Mais j'ai la preuve. Donc la preuve, ça pourrait être quoi?
Take a look at this.
I'm not sure why you're showing us this. There's not a moment, sad as it may be, such a major transit hub is bound to have tons of surveillance nowadays.
Yeah. You nailed the exact point I wanted to make here.
Which was...
Ce n'était toujours pas présent sur la caméra. Il faut que je montre la preuve.
Remember how we mocked up a diagram of the Shinjuku Station platform?
Yeah. Oh, wait! That's it! You could be onto something. There's a point where Ihara wasn't on camera at all.
What is this point you speak of?
Let's all go over the diagram so that everything will be clear. Here's what I want you to see.
Donc là, faut que je cherche les preuves. Ihara est victime quand il descend du train de la gare à 9h midi.
Hey.
La trajectoire de Ihara est victime à l'endroit qui a été arrêté. Et c'est l'endroit par le témoin. Le témoin était au téléphone. Personne... Donc il y a un truc à faire. La trajectoire de Ihara et la victime du quai. Sur la vidéo. Mais j'ai pas la preuve encore. Faut que je trouve la preuve. Les caméras sur le quai. Agrippé à Ihara. Arrivé sur le quai. Elle était sur la vidéo de la preuve. Donc il faut que je trouve la preuve. Donc là c'est bon. Le train était là. La caméra de sécurité.
What the?
Voilà précisément l'endroit que je cherchais.
It's very brief, but there's a moment where Ihara and Mamiya-san can't be seen by the security cameras. The dotted lines on the arrow represent the camera's blind spot.
It does appear so. So you're saying...
Can't say it's impossible, right?
Right.
Possible, non.
Except if that actually happened, Mamiya-san would have been right behind them at the time. Could the two really swap places without her noticing?
In a crowd like that, I think it's feasible.
If that really was Ihara's plan, then I'd say he was being careless.
Careless? How?
Well, on the day of the incident, the station was packed for morning rush hour. That means there was no solid guarantee the assailant could make the switch. He could have been nailed by any random passerby before reaching the blind spot.
Good point. Not in the first Ihara, would have been caught before even reaching the platform.
Oh, I mean, yeah! Called it.
Think about it, Yagami-san. Why would Ihara's accomplices meticulously plan out every last detail of this alibi, only to leave such...
just doing my job.
True. Good work, Hoshino-kun. In fact, I think that may back up my own take on it.
Yeah?
What if everything, including the appearance of leaving the plan to chance, was part...
Can you expound on that?
I'm saying I agree that such an airtight alibi wouldn't have allowed for And that takes the question to another level. Just how far did they line up the pieces in advance to make...
Are you saying there's more to it than we discussed? What did we miss?
Toute la journée, j'étais à Nera, y compris le meurtre de Mikoshiba, appelé à flier. Alors, détruire...
Mikoshiba was actually murdered in Kamurocho. The place used in that way, the murder could have...
I don't mean to shoot you down, but I just don't think that...
So, no?
If you want a yes or no answer.
Was that all? You made it sound like you had this whole
No,
thing...
hang on. Something just hit me. Ihara secured his... For them to be able to pull that off.
Right, so what exactly would...
Le meurtre de Ishiba et planifier et détruire, c'est pas la bonne réponse. Et était de mèche avec Nera.
I know this won't go over well, but what if Mamiya was colluding with Ihara all along?
Huh?
Bear with me. If that's the case, the swap could happen right in front of her and no one but the three of them would know.
You're saying the victim of a groping conspired with her assailant beforehand? That's ridiculous.
Impossible, il a une chance pour Mia. Partie du coup montée.
Let me just say, I'm only trying to work out how a swap like... Now, if Ihara and his stand-in both know that Mamiya will pretend not to have seen them, they can trade places in the blind spot with impunity. Conversely, if Mamiya wasn't in on the plan, the idea of a swap would never work. We can say with certainty that she would have seen the swaps, so... She could have even called attention to the real Ihara the moment he stepped in. That way, the people around her would be focused on chasing the correct assailant. The rest is as we know it. They caught...
Hold that thought. If your theory is accurate, what about Ihara's trace evidence? Remember that...
Well, that can also be explained by Mamiya being in on the plan. For example, while the stand-in was showing himself at the security cameras, Mamiya could have easily provided Ihara... Maybe the stand-in
It's not impossible.
We can work out the other details later. But the Point is, Ihara's murder alibi is shot. In summary, it's possible Ihara disgraced himself to secure an unshakable alibi.
I'll concede that it's an avenue worth pursuing.
And when it comes to the prosecution, they can't just admit they got the first case so wrong. Plus, they can't question Ihara about Mikoshiba's murder. In fact, their only option is to claim that—
So he managed to make a farce out of the system after all.
Well, his court case for his son's bullying did get school, the investigative committee, and the court all— No surprise for me that the guy held a grudge against the system.
Hold on. Before we
What's
all
that?
decide, the obvious question to me is why would Mamiya be party to such a crime? She appears more than financially stable, and she's even raising a child. So why would she do something so enormously risky?
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet. But maybe she was or maybe Ihara has some kind of dirt on her even?
Enough to make her help with a murder? What sort of secret would be big enough to force someone in?
Un policier de 53 ans, la mère employée d'un bureau. Pour l'instant, c'est leur seul lien, c'est la gare.
What info do we have?
I'll pull her information. Just a second.
Oh, I just—
What's that?
If but if he had chosen a victim, a solid plan would need to eliminate, which means Mamiya being an accomplice was—
That's true.
Looks like Ihara pulled one over on the prosecution then. That is once we learn how he's connected to Mamiya, we can root out the rest of his team.
Let's see. Originally from Ota, Tokyo. Attended a private high school called
Huh.
Met her husband on the job, apparently. Her husband, Taichi Mamiya, is an industrial designer at Technos. 6 years ago, she gave birth to their only son, so—
Hold on. You said she went to Kurakawa Academy?
Je reviens juste du lycée, non. J'ai un diplôme, non. Personne m'espionne pour aller là-bas.
When I went to scope out the murder scene, there were these 3 guys watching the detectives and me. They told us they were just—
Do you have any ID on you?
Will my license work?
Akake-san.
Akaike-san, age 30.
What's that got to do with anything?
I found the Kurakawa Academy website. It's in Tokyo, specifically in Ota.
What?
The girls there get such cute uniforms.
You little— You want to start all over from the bar?
Wait, I've seen that uniform before too, actually.
Where?
On an old picture of a teacher at Seiryo High. Sawa-sensei. Ihara's son confided in her. Is she actually a Kurakawa grad too? I don't know Sawa-sensei's exact age, but she could—
Could this mean they're actually—
It's a tenuous link at best.
Eh bah, je pense qu'elle est complice, la fille aussi.
A previously unseen link is established between the groper and the victim. Charting out their relationship is akin to tracing a spider's web. But with each false thread ruled out, only the improbable truth remains. Ihara orchestrated the groping as a diversion, and by tarnishing his name, he secures both an alibi and his ultimate revenge.
Et ouais, je pense qu'elle est complice.
Hiro Mikoshiba's murder was sparked by the bullying of Toshiro Ihara, who committed suicide 4 years ago. The graphic— We also know the father had accomplices. On October 7th at 6:30 a.m., they forced Mikoshiba into a vehicle, took him to an abandoned building, and gravely injured him. Then, around 7:30 a.m., the time frame when Ihara killed Mikoshiba, the other conspirators were probably nearby.
At the same time, 30 kilometers away at Ikebukuro State, we'll call that guy the stand-in. The stand-in made sure he was in front of the cameras from after committing sexual battery on that train. That's how he established a false alibi for Mikoshiba's murder. And to achieve this,
Sure are a lot of people getting their hands dirty for Ihara, Mamiya. Ihara standing on the train, the guys who kidnapped Mikoshiba. How did some troubled cop manage to recruit so many?
Well, one person that comes to mind, who might be the key to all this, is Yoko Sawa. She's a teacher at Seiryo High. She was the only adult Toshiro-kun ever told about the bullying, and she supervised Mikoshiba as a teacher before he... On top of that, she's a Kurokawa Academy graduate, same as Mamiya. Those trespassers at the murder scene were also from Kurokawa. Since they're all about the same age, it's possible they were all classmates.
So you're saying these classmates are also...
if we consider Yoko Sawa the central link, that's very possible. We do know that as a teacher, she felt deep remorse for Toshiro-kun's suicide. Maybe she recruited her old classmates to help Ihara take his revenge.
Yeah, best not to rule that out. Though I'm hoping that's not the case.
Why is that?
It's just, she's passionate, I know she regrets the past, that a student died on her watch. And now another of her students, Miko. So if it turns out she's involved in that, I doubt I'll be able to trust my own judge of character ever again.
Yagami.
I'm going back to Ijincho tomorrow. The plan is to bring up Mamiya's name to Sawa-sensei and see how she reacts. Until then, let's not jump to conclusions about her involvement.
All right.
Can I chime in real quick? I was looking into Kurokawa...
What's that?
Well, it happened a third year jumped off the school's roof.
Et le suicide de l'harcèlement, 13 ans, je dois avoir Sawa pour lui parler. Mais je me souviens bien que lycéenne a survécu aujourd'hui.
Actually, Sawa-sensei...
Right, that's got...
Huh, and all...
It wouldn't be normally, but ever heard the name Reiko?
Not once.
I have. It was on the news. They were talking about her and her son.
Le ministre adjoint a beaucoup de pouvoirs au sein du gouvernement, mais le Kusumoto est très influent.
Well, do you remember the... Apparently, they couldn't afford another criminal scandal, so her promotion was out of the blue. She was a safe choice, a veteran with tenure and experience. Not to mention her son's tragedy. She's kind of a new generation heroines.
Huh.
Is any of that relevant to the case?
Who knows? But Rick, I don't think that's a connection we can afford.
Okay, so Kusumoto's son.
Let's see. The records say...
That's so cruel.
Yeah, and the teacher was a real piece of work. Apparently he...
Oh, I remember now.
If they were classmates, then both Sawa-sensei and Mamiya would know about this.
And maybe because they couldn't save Mitsuru-kun, their guilt left them open to Ihara's...
But to prove that, we'll have to hear from them directly. I'll talk to...
That'd be helpful. In the meantime, I'll be working on Ihara's appeal. It's clear they missed something important, being that he was out committing murder at the time.
What started as a simple harassment case sure has blown...
Ouais, bah je pense que les deux filles sont coupables.
Thanks again, Yagami-san. Try to relax for once.
I admit, I used to see Ihara as nothing more than a shameless cop who got... But I guess that's what...
What we're dealing with is a man who disgraced himself and the justice system all... At this point, I doubt much can scare him. You have to be a certain...
Ma foi, je pense que les deux filles sont coupables. On va leur poser 2-3 petites questions juste après cette vidéo. Et je vous dis à très bientôt pour une prochaine vidéo.